Hey guys, welcome to the All Sports Pass Podcast North, and I'm back here with another schedule predictions video. And before we get into this video, let's begin this video with something different. We're gonna, from now on all my videos, with the exception of shorts, I will be saying a Bible verse of the day. And today's Bible verse comes from Proverbs chapter 3, verses 5 through 6. And it says, "Trust in the Lord with all your heart, and lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways submit to him, and he will make your path straight." Amen to that. And of course, the reason why I say today's schedule predictions video is special is because this is a Rivalry Thursday schedule predictions video, and before we also get into this, I want to thank the Rivalry Thursday for giving me permission to make this video, because for those who don't know, Rivalry Thursday covers East Tennessee football, and they put one game a week on TV on Thursdays. And of course, I think it's awesome because, some of these small town schools can get out there, and some of these kids can be viewed by college scouts one day. It's going to be interesting to see some of these games, in my opinion. And most of these games in my opinion, are going to be great games. So let's see what I think is going to happen. But excuse me there. However, keep in mind, these are my predictions, and these are what I think will happen over the course of the season, or of course, the course of the games. Of course, high school football, you never know. However, I also want to mention this, that All Sports Pass Podcast North and All Sports Pass Podcast West are not affiliated with Rivalry Thursday, but however, for the North channel, which is my channel, this is actually Rivalry Thursday actually is part of the inspiration why I started recording high school football. And of course, before you answer, I want to say a quick thank you to them for creating this for putting these games on TV and inspiring me to do this, and also for helping to get some small town schools out there. Of course, they've broadcasted many games over the years, and I cannot wait for the 2024 season. But enough me yapping. Let's get into this. Let's get into these predictions. So the first game of the year is going to be Anderson County at Powell. Powell at Anderson County. Excuse me. But however, let me tell you this. This game here, like that you've heard me say on the Powell and Anderson County schedule predictions videos, this game is mostly a toss-up. It mostly just can be anything. Of course, it's a week one game, really. So in week one games are mostly all toss-ups. But however, I'm going to say this, that if you've seen Anderson County, if you've ever been to an Anderson County game or seen them on Rivalry Thursday, you understand how they treat football over there. They treat it on a whole nother level. They got a great entrance. They got fireworks. They even have a dog going out there to retrieve the kick and tees. And so, of course, they do everything they can to win at home. And, of course, for Powell, it's going to be, it's going to be a tough environment this time because, last season they beat Anderson County 35-21 when it was at Powell. And, of course, the year prior, Anderson County beat Powell when it was at Anderson County. So it's going to be interesting to see. So, of course, I really think it's a toss-up. However, I'm actually going to say this. I actually think Powell might could do it. But, however, with these toss-ups, I'm just going to say Powell on this one. Then the next game, this is actually, speaking of, if I did not mention already, I believe I did. Powell at Anderson County is actually the All Sports Pass Podcast North game of the week for week one. And then, also on the upload schedule, in the future I plan on uploading once a week, so just thought I'd put that out there. But however, let's continue. For the next game, it's actually 2 days after this game, so there's 2 week one games, but however, this one's on Saturday. This is the Kickoff Classic. And the Kickoff Classic, for those who don't know, is a game that they hold on Saturdays, and this one's going to be on WAT. And it's pretty much the same matchup as last year. Last year was Bearden at West. Now it's West at Bearden. And speaking of, for the West High School Rebels and the Bearden Bulldogs, they're actually going to be covered on the All Sports Pass Podcast West channel. And I recommend going to check them out. I'll leave a link in the description down below. But however, this game last year, I watched this game and it had an insane ending. Now, of course, when it looked like Bearden was about to get the win, you could say this, that the unthinkable happened. West threw a pass to the end zone, and receiver was there, but however he bobbled it up, and he bobbled it a little bit, but was able to come down with control of it. So it's looking for the game. Sorry, let me rewind it there. So he bobbled it and he caught it, maintained possession, and because of that, West was able to win that game. And of course, for Bearden, this time they want revenge for that loss. And I think that, of course, with this being at Bearden, and however West honestly could be seeing a bit of a difference in performance because they've lost some talent over the course of last season. Of course, most notably Marshawn Bowers, who was a big athlete for them. He was really good at what he did. He was good to run, and he was great at running, and of course was able to lead the team to 2 state championships in a row. And it's going to be interesting to see what they do. And of course, now what I mean by how they do is it's going to be interesting to see how they're able to move on without some of these guys. And yeah, but however, for Bearden, I actually think that I'm going to be honest here, I don't know. But I will say this, that I do think that, of course, Bearden, with it being at home, and of course you still have Torrey Beaufort and some of these other guys, so it's going to be interesting to see. But I'm going to say this, I'm actually going to give this one to Bearden here. I actually think Bearden can pull it off, so I'm going to give this one to Bearden. In the next game, it's Loudoun at Lenoir City, and this game was close last season as Loudoun won by just 1 point over Lenoir City. And it's going to be interesting to see this game on TV, see how it's going to happen again. Because, last year this game was played at Loudoun, and this year it's played at Lenoir City. So it's going to be interesting to see what's going to happen. However, I do think that, of course, if with Loudoun winning last year's game, hold on, let me take a look there. Let me take a look here. Now, of course, they did beat Lenoir City back in 2021. They beat them back in 2020, and keep in mind, I'm going to go back in the past for last 4 years because that's when I was in high school. They beat them 21-14 in 2022, and then 2023, Lenoir City nearly beat them. However, do I think Lenoir City can potentially pull the upset? Maybe. It's going to be interesting to see because now Lenoir City has the home advantage, whole different ball game. However, I just think it's going to be Loudoun winning this one, really. However, and also, guys, just a little disclaimer. You never know about these scores. It's high school football. Anything can happen. However, I just think it's going to be Loudoun winning this one. Then it's going to be Then the next game is going to be Heritage at William Blount. And this game here, I'm going to say this, that William Blount really had a great season last season. They ended up going 6-4. They barely missed the playoffs. But however, they do end up, of course, wherever they do, of course, have they of course had a great season last season. Hold on, let me rewind, guys. Here, sorry, guys, it's been a while since I've made a predictions video, and of course, this is and of course, I'm trying to get everything loaded on here. But however, I do think that, of course, with Heritage having a bit of, just having a little bit of some seasons where it's not been where they've not really been strong, but however they nearly beat William Blount, and it's going to be interesting to see. But however, this time it's going to be played William Blount. I do think that if William Blount can continue their success from last season, it's going to be interesting to see what they can do and how well they're going to do this season. Of course, with this game being played on their home turf, do I think that Heritage? Now, do I think William Blount's home advantage can lead them to victory? I think so. But however, I'm going to say this, that with this, I just think that, if they end up winning this game, I think, the home field advantage would be key. But however, I do think that, of course, that Heritage, is going to give it their all as well. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm actually going to give this one to William Blunt. Oh, speaking of William Blunt, they're actually going to be covered on the All Sports Pass Podcast West channel as well. So I'll leave the link down in the description if y'all want to go check that channel out. Then next game. This game here is one I'm excited to see. I'm glad they're running it back because last season, unfortunately, this game it was played, but however, the game was unfortunately called due to a storm, and they weren't able to they weren't able to resume play. So this game was held as a no contest, and of course, with this one being Greenville and Alcoa. Last time I was at Greenville. Then, like I said, the storm came, and it ended up being a no contest. However, this one's going to be interesting because see, Greenville is a tough team in 4A, and Alcoa is a nine-time state champion. Like they won it 9 times in a row. So it's going to be interesting to see. Now, Alcoa has also knocked off some teams. Matter of fact, they ended West's winning streak last season. And now, of course, I actually think that if anybody can give Greenville a regular season loss, I think it's going to be Alcoa. Now, of course, with Alcoa, Greenville hasn't had a regular season loss since 2020, which, of course, was during the COVID year. Everybody was quarantined and all. However, I do think that if there's a team that's going to give Greenville a regular season loss, it's going to be Alcoa, in my opinion. But hey, I'm going to be honest here. This one's also a toss-up because both these teams are really good. But I'm going to say this, that I think with Alcoa having the home advantage here, as well as the fact, they also have a bunch of weapons. Like they have Michigan commit Eli Owens coming back, and it's going to be interesting to see what he can do on the offense for him. I just think that, of course, it's going to be a bit more interesting about what they can do. And, however, I actually think when I was determined Greenville a little bit, of course, one of their notable returnees is Carson Quillen. However, it's going to be interesting to see what they can do. So I'm going to say this, that with, excuse me there, I'm going to say this, that with these guys, I just think that, heading in here, these guys are going to be so hyped. And I think this game's going to be really awesome as well. So... But do I think that, of course, anybody can win it? Yes. But, however, I'm going to say this, that I think if Alcoa can beat anybody, that I think that they're going to end up winning a bunch of these games. So I'm going to say this here. And, of course, also Eli Owens is also a defensive end for Alcoa as well. So, yeah. But, however, I do think that, of course, with this game here, I'm going to say that I just think that Alcoa, I'm going to go on a limb. I'm actually going to say Alcoa is going to win this one because Alcoa has been able to upset multiple teams, and like I said, including the West team last year, so it's going to be interesting to see. Then the next game is going to be Carter at Halls, and this game here, I will say this, Carter came into this game, Carter lost to Halls last season by a score of 42-7, and it's going to be interesting to see what they can do because they want revenge for that loss. And, however, with this game being at Halls, it's going to be interesting to see. Now, do I believe that Carter can win this one? I think so. But, however, I just think that's going to be interesting because, Halls had a good year last year. But, however, it's going to be interesting to see what Halls can do this year. Because, of course, with Halls having a good season this year, they went 8-3. And then, of course, after having, of course, a 2-9 season. But I do think that, of course, Halls' defense, in my opinion, has been really good. And I actually saw it at the game against Gibbs. Halls had some great defensive stops that game. And I do think that, of course, with this, I just think that, that Halls is going to do everything they can to continue that success from 2023. So I'm sorry, Carter, but I think Halls is going to win. Then the next game, it's going to be Grace at Lakeway. And I'm going to say this, that this game here is actually to private schools, and they actually are going to be having this game on TV, which I think is going to be big for these two schools because because these two, like I said, they're private schools, and it's going to be interesting to see what they can do. And now, hold on, let me get into this real quick. They of course, I believe they have a new coach with, of course, Coach Justin Long, who was at Grace last season. Is going to Fulton, and Yeah, nope. I'm sorry, Justin Long. I'm sorry. Sorry, two articles here. I got mixed up a little bit. However, now they have two. They have the Campbell County coaches now, Justin and Matt Price, and both of these are twins. And now, of course, Grace, of course, hasn't is of course going to be really good. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Let me rewind that. I'm sorry. I think it's going to be interesting to see what they can do because Grace hasn't really had as much of a strong run last time I checked them out, which I think was a while ago, I want to say. Now, what I mean by a while ago is, is like, of course, I was doing research for this video, and, I was doing research for this video, and there was a ton of stuff that I needed to take notes about. And what I do think is this, is that, excuse me, is the fact that, is that, unfortunately, some of the stuff here is that I do believe that, I do think that, of course, this game here being a private school, I don't normally see many private school games, so that's why, really, that's why we're coming in here, But I will say this, though, I do think that, of course, Lakeway, of course, coming in 5-5, and they didn't beat Grace 21-16 last season, and now Grace did have a 3-7 season, so I do think this, but now, however, I do think that, of course, is that they have been able to beat some decent teams, in my opinion. Of course, they did. But there's also a time where they did lose to like a 2A team back then to York Institute, and York actually turned their team around. So I will say that this one actually I think was actually an okay loss. But I do think that now if Lakeway is able to continue their success, I'm going to say Lakeway is going to win this one. Then this game here, then the next game, Maryville at Bearden. And I have to say that this game here is, Maryville lost to Bearden last year, and Bearden had not beaten Maryville since 1991. And it's going to be, and I'm going to say this, that the All Sports Pass podcast West Channel host actually was at that game, and it was a crazy celebration. And of course, with that overtime stop for the win, it really helped Bearden get the win. And I'm sorry, when I said 91, I meant 93. I'm so sorry. But however, it's going to be interesting to see what's going to happen this game, because this time it's going to be at Bearden. Maryville, of course, wants revenge for that loss. I'm going to say that I just think that, of course, I'm going to say this. I actually think Bearden might end up winning. What's better than beating them last year? Probably beating them this year on your home turf. And, yeah, so I'm going to give this one to Bearden, actually. All right, the next game is Brentwood Academy at Catholic. And it's interesting because, fun fact, Brentwood Academy's quarterback actually committed to Tennessee. And he's actually, hold on, let me pull him up here. He is actually one of the top quarterbacks in actually, I think he's the top player in Tennessee, actually. Hold on, let me check. Sorry, when I said I think, it was, sorry, guys. I've been doing a bunch of research for this video, so keep in mind some of my stuff isn't really all that accurate. But I will say this, that he is actually, that this dude, I'm correct, he's the number one player in Tennessee. But keep in mind, I've been doing a bunch of research for this video, so of course I've been trying to, get everything put together, but it is what it is, Yeah. However, now, of course, Brentwood did not really have as much of a good season last year as they finished 2-10. Now, I do think that, of course, when I did check their loss, I did see that, now, of course, I do see this, that, they were able to mostly keep these losses within a touchdown, mostly. And, now, of course, with the exception of Father Ryan, McCauley, and of course, the game against Catholic was pretty, was lost by a touchdown. However, of course, it's going to be interesting to see what they can do. But I think that, of course, with Catholic, they're a good team as well. However, I just think that, of course, I'm going to be honest here, I really don't know, because this is actually a Division II TSSAA school. So I'm going to say this, that This one's really a toss-up. So I think for my toss-up, I'm going to give this one to Catholic, honestly. Next game, Anderson County at West, and I have to say, West defeated Anderson County at Anderson County last season by a score of 8-7. Now, of course, Anderson County scored once, but however, they end up, scored once in that game, but it was during the first quarter, and then West scored in the third quarter, and of course they're able to win 8-7. So, of course, whenever we talk about, Anderson County at West, it's going to be interesting to see what AC can do on the road. Now, do I think that, of course, West might be the weaker team here? Actually, I think I'm going to say so a bit. However, it could be a toss-up because, Anderson County and West, both of them have lost some players. So it's going to be interesting to see how both these teams will adapt. However, I'm going to say this. For this toss-up, I think I'm just going to go on a limb here. I think I might actually give this one to Anderson County. I actually think Anderson County may win this game, honestly. Now, of course, I don't remember the prediction I made on the Anderson County video, but if I did, keep in mind, some of these predictions may change. I may actually have to put this in a disclaimer on the video one day. I say predictions schedule subject to change. That's what I might say. But I think Anderson County, honestly, they're going to try everything they can. They want revenge for that loss, and I just think that, of course, Anderson County, this game won't be on TV, and I think it might be a close game as well, but I think Anderson County is going to win this one. In the next game, huge 1A matchup, Coalfield at Oliver Springs. And Coalfield and Oliver Springs, now I have to say, Coalfield is pretty good at football. And, of course, they did have an upset loss last season to Sunbright, who, of course, finished 1-9. And Sunbright, of course, was 0-6 at the time. And then they upset Coalfield. However, last season, Coalfield defeated Oliver Springs at Coalfield by a score of 20-13. And heading in here is the fact that, but however, here's the thing. That didn't stop there because Oliver Springs got their revenge in the playoffs. And what we mean by the playoffs is that Oliver Springs ended up having the last laugh because they went back to Coalfield and they end up beating them by a score of 20-13. So, yeah. Now, of course, this game here now, I'm in to see what a 1A game can offer because, from what I already know, the speed of these games are, really different compared to the speed of the other classes. But it's going to really depend on what they can do. And I do think that, with Oliver Springs, of course, making it to the Final Four, it's going to be interesting to see. However, I do believe that it's going to be a pretty interesting game to say the least. But I'm going to say that this time it's going to be at Oliver Springs. However, how sweet will it be for Coalfield to end up winning at Oliver Springs, getting revenge for that playoff loss? However, then again, of course, depending on the playoff situation, now keep in mind this is early in the season here. However, I do think that Coalfield, it's going to be interesting to see. Now, for these schools, I just think, of course, that Oliver Springs is these two are tough opponents. And now I'm actually going to go on a limb. I'm going to give this one to Coalfield because Coalfield, I think, is going to give everything they have for this game. So I'm going to give this one to Coalfield. All right, and then the last game of the season's on Halloween, and it's going to be Maryville at Farragut. And of course, Farragut defeated Maryville last season. And hold on, let me pull up Maryville here. And of course, Farragut did not really have a good season last season. Of course, they had some injuries, and Maryville, of course, finished 7-5, like I said. Now, of course, heading in here, from last season, Farragut defeated Maryville. Hold on. Sorry, guys. My site. There we go. The site wasn't loading. But however, I do think that Maryville and Farragut. That Farragut defeated Maryville, but it was by a score of 13-10. And so it's going to be interesting to see what they can do here. And now, of course, this is a 6A battle. And I do think, of course, now with Maryville and Farragut, it's going to be interesting to see. This game was a close game. I will say that, to say the least. So, with it being a close game, what can we expect? I don't know. But I'm going to say this, that if Farragut is going to, of course, adjust without longtime coach, Eddie Courtney, now they do Courtney or, sorry, hold on. Now, what I do believe is this: is that sorry, I was thinking of Fulton's old coach, Butt Courtney. I'm so sorry. Eddie Courtney. Now they do have his son Jeff Courtney taking over as Eddie announced his retirement. Now, of course, sorry when I said Courtney, like I said, I was saying of the former Fulton coach. I'm so sorry there. Now it's going to be interesting to see what they can do. Of course, Maryville wants revenge for that loss. Um, so I'm going to say this if if this game can end up winning, I'm sorry, this game can be a close game. That it's going to be an amazing game because hey, it was a close game last year, and I'm expecting big things of this game. And I cannot wait to watch it. All right, sorry guys for y'all tonight. If y'all like this video, leave a like, subscribe for more content. Big thank you to Rivalry Thursday for letting me make schedule predictions. And also, guys, keep in mind, I'm still learning on really some of these on how to podcast. Like what I mean by learning. Hold on, let me wind it back a little bit. Like what I mean by still learning a little bit is the fact that of course, some of these schools that are on here are of course, with some of these schools, I'm going to be interesting to see, to me, because some of these schools I don't really hear about every day because they're in a different part of Tennessee. So it's going to be interesting to see some of these schools. And of course, I want to thank Rivalry Thursday for getting some of these schools on here, so we can also see what some of these other schools can do. And I also think, of course, that heading in here, that these games are going to be really fun to watch. So, with that being said, leave a like, subscribe for more, and peace out.